Hello everyone, welcome to CGBMentors. You're watching our special series that is CGB Sapno Se Selection Tak. And as we promised, we are back with another inspiring journey. And today we have Mudra Hari with us, who has scored the highest marks in Phase 2 this year, RBI Grade B. He gave his first RBI attempt and 2025 is third RBI attempt with first mains and first interview. He missed the sectional cutoff in the previous year. He has also given 2 NABARD and 1 PFRD interviews and is selected for NABARD and SEBI interview this year too. So in total he has given 6 or he is eligible for 2 interviews where 2 interviews are pending, right?
My strategy has been really simple. I was really worried how the questions would be, how the paper would be, what could be the cutoff, whether I would be able to clear the cutoff or not. But once the timer begins, my focus has been completely on the examination, no matter what. Just examination, just I need to attempt these many questions that I have planned. I have to approach this examination like I have planned, and yes, that's it. I would like to thank Ashok sir and his team in the CGBMentors for continuously guiding me since last 3 years. In a sense, this has been very personal and emotional to me because in this process, the kind of certainty that CGBMentors has provided me.
Hello everyone, welcome to CGBMentors. You're watching our special series that is CGB Sapno Se Selection Tak. And as we promised, we are back with another inspiring journey. And today we have Mudra Hari with us, who has scored the highest marks in Phase 2 this year, RBI Grade B. So, Mudra Hari, first of all, many congratulations to you. And thank you so much for giving this opportunity to us that we are having a conversation with you. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So, see, today everyone sees your selection, but I wish to start from the moment that no one witnessed, right? That is your entire journey. How did this journey feel like for you? Like you can share your internal conflicts at emotional level or however you want to share.
So my preparation journey started in 2021 with UPSC. I started my journey in UPSC in 2021. I wrote mains in 2021 and 2023.
Okay.
After that, the kind of financial situations and circumstances forced me to consider a plan B.
Okay.
So in 2022, I decided to join a software firm as an engineer, associate engineer. And while working in that firm, I prepared and I appeared for different kind of examinations.
Correct.
But the critical moment came in 2023 where I have to choose between the plan B or the career that I really want to be in.
Correct, correct.
So at that moment, I took the risk and I resigned to the software firm and I gave my everything to this preparation journey. And since it's been 3 years since I resigned, the kind of pressures that unemployment usually have
Correct.
on personal level as well as on a family level, it's really difficult to describe and explain the kind of feelings we usually experienced in these 3 years. But all those are worth the moment that I saw my roll number in the holy PDF.
Yes, correct. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a beautiful journey you shared. And I think it takes a lot, especially when you leave your job and after resigning it, because there is not only the family pressure, but societal pressure as well, right? And then you are giving government exams, which is highly uncertain, right, in that scenario. Okay, Hari. So this brings me to the next question. You completed your BTech and as you mentioned that you worked in a firm that is TCS.
Yes, ma'am.
For 1.5 years and then you resigned it. And you already mentioned that you took this action. So did you always want to pursue for regulatory bodies examinations? Or it was the dream job was just to get a government job, or was it particularly regulatory bodies examinations?
My dream job was UPSC, ma'am.
Okay.
Since in 2021 I started. But when I came to realize the contours of that particular examination, and then I got to know about the other opportunities that are available in the market, like RBI, SEBI, NABARD, and etc., the regulatory bodies.
Okay.
So in 2023, then I decided to shift my gear towards regulatory bodies. So I started exploring them in 2023.
Were you aware of these examinations while preparing for UPSC? Because
No,
certain aspirants, yeah, I have seen that most of the aspirants are unaware of such examinations. Yes. So how did you get to know about that?
A few friends of mine and my access to Telegram has let me know about the opportunities and regulatory bodies.
Okay, nice, nice. So, Hari, as you mentioned in your biodata that you come from a humble family background, I would like to ask something about that. And despite that, you left the job, and there will be many difficulties emotionally and financially. So, how you overcome those fears during your exam preparation, like your mental support, your emotional support, your family support? You can tell, you can share such things with us.
So the one thing that stood out in these 3 years of preparation since my resignation is the support that I received from my family, both mentally and financially. They have always had their trust in me that I could do something, and the risk that I took is worthy of the kind of outcomes that I could expect after clearing this examination. And whenever I feel low, I mean, this is each and every aspirant in this process, the competitive examination process, usually feel depressed whenever they get failed, whenever they are uncertain, as there is a lot of uncertainty involved in this process. Even I'm not beyond that, so I too experience that kind of stress. But whenever I felt that stress, I try to come out of that. You know, I used to have habits.
Okay.
I used to come out of my room. I used to just roam around in the city. I just used to talk to my friends. I used to talk to my family. I used to watch a movie or a web series, so that it distracts you from the kind of negative thoughts that you usually have. So I think these really made the difference.
Okay. So to conclude, I can say to my audience that having such kind of depression is the part of the process.
Yes,
The only thing is how you deal with it.
Yes.
Right. And we have friends, we have our family, and we should share our emotions to them. And you should not sit in one room and ideally, think of all those thoughts. Rather, we should go out and learn with new experiences.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. So, see, you were working, right? And there are many aspirants also who prepare while working in some kind of organization, be it private. And in fact, if they are even into public organization, they do prepare. What learnings can we draw from your journey if someone is preparing besides job as a working aspirant? Right, because you left your job, right, because you wanted to focus fully on one thing at one time. But let's say if someone is preparing besides, what advice would you give to them?
I think it usually depends from person to person.
Yes.
So, and their financial situation, their background, and all.
Yes.
But I think with the right strategy, right focus on the examination, and right approach, I think while working candidates could also crack this examination. But what we need is the kind of commitment, the kind of focus, and the kind of approach.
And
Analyzing
time
the
management.
examination, the time management, how we are managing the time, how we are making the decisions, how we are approaching the exam as a whole. So, and at the personality level, a lot of factors also play a role. The kind of risk that we want to take. So, these all factors really play a role, but I think we can manage
Yeah.
by working.
Okay, thank you. So let me tell my audience your exam journey. So Hari started his journey in the year 2023, where he gave his first RBI attempt, and 2025 is his third RBI attempt with first mains and first interview. He missed the sectional cutoff in the previous year. He has also given 2 NABARD and 1 PFRD interviews, and is selected for NABARD and SEBI interview this year too. So in total, he has given 6, or he is eligible for 2 interviews, where 2 interviews are pending, maybe, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Hari, this question is specifically for those aspirants who prepare for simultaneously various regulatory bodies examinations, right? Like they prepare for SEBI, NABARD, and PFRDA besides RBI. So, my first question to this is, what were your major sources of study, preparation, or the sources of all these examinations? Were you relying on CGB as a one-stop center, as you mentioned in your data, that one-stop center?
Yes, ma'am. For all the examinations since 2023, specifically for the regulatory bodies, I completely relied on CGBMentors for static as well as the dynamic part. And even for the interview guidance, I completely relied on CGBMentors.
Okay.
That was more than sufficient for me to crack the examinations and go up to interview. So I think that CGBMentors content is the one-stop center for me.
Okay. So did you take the combo courses for this all, or you just
I usually took separate courses based on my approach.
Okay. So can we ask our audience, or can we share such experiences that you can completely rely on CGB, because somehow we know that there are certain aspirants who run after different institutions, different sources, and because they have a little fear of like FOMO inside that, right? So coming to the RBI preparation, uh, I would want to know that what was the most challenging subject for you in phase 1 and how did you manage it?
Ma'am, for me, the most challenging subjects are two. They are quantitative aptitude and reasoning.
Okay.
So I was a bit weak in quant and reasoning. So I missed out on the quant sectional and reasoning sectional in 2023 and 24.
Okay.
So my approach to the phase 1 is completely one-sided, that I have to clear the sectional cutoff as I'm pretty much good in my approach towards G and overall cutoff.
Okay.
So I focused my phase 1 preparation completely on quantitative aptitude and reasoning. Coming to the quant section, first of all, I learned very basic formula and understanding about all the concepts on the quant that could help me in tackling the DI, the data interpretation sets.
Okay. Oh,
And
yes,
secondly, I focused on a few important topics that are easier to tackle for me, where my strength lies.
Okay.
I relied on data interpretation, quadratic equations, number series, and a few sets of topics in algebra. So I completely relied on them. I practiced on them.
Okay.
On a higher level.
Okay.
From the basic to higher level, I practiced on those selected particular topics. And for the DI, I practiced very basic to higher level of DIs to make sure that I don't miss out on the DIs. For the reasoning section, the same strategy that I followed for quant, also for reasoning.
Okay.
I selected a few topics like syllogisms, critical reasoning. I'm a bit good in critical reasoning.
Okay.
And other few sections like direction sense, different kind of puzzles and all.
Okay.
So I relied on them, I practiced them, I implemented that in the examination to clear the sectional cutoff.
Okay. So what I'm deducing it is, again, there are certain topics that you need to focus rather than completing hell lot of topics. There can be 4 to 5 topics and practicing becoming a pro in that, so that there is less anxiety in the examination and you're able to manage your time and all of that.
You have to play according to your strength in those areas.
Correct, correct. Okay, okay. So since you have given so many interviews, right, you were managing these many examinations simultaneously, right? And I think this is the need of the hour also, considering the level of competition we are facing and also the fear of vacancies that is running buzz around. So my point is that how did you manage all that simultaneously, right? Like, suppose, I think the timeline is also different, and suppose if were you giving preparing for 2 exams simultaneously, or it was one by one, considering the timeline of the examination?
So usually there is a kind of timeline that one exam comes and then after the another one comes. So my approach has been really simple, ma'am. I used to find the overlapping syllabus for all the examinations that I could approach, that I could attempt. I will complete that particular part of syllabus, like current affairs is common for every exam. Some ESI is common for almost all of the exams. So what I used to do is, I used to have a plan for that. I used to prepare for that at one time. And as the one particular exam approaches, for example, PFRD or SAB, the subjects that are specific to that particular examination, I would tackle that one by one. For NABARD, ARD, Agriculture and Rural Development, I used to refer to ARD static and ARD current affairs separately just before the examination. So for the SEBI, the Commerce and Accountancy, and Companies Act and like that, I used to tackle that just before that. So there are 2 approaches. One is a common approach for all the examination, and an approach that is specific to the kind of examination that is coming.
Okay, okay, nice. So to conclude, I would just like to reframe it for the audience. He just means that first of all, you have to choke down the syllabus, which is similar, and you can just keep that going throughout the year,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And then there are other subjects. For example, in SEBI, we would have Companies Act, right? And other subjects also. For example, in NABARD, we have agriculture and ARD, and there is more focus on government schemes, especially of agriculture. Then that can be considered before the examination, because as the notification arrives, you have at least 30 to 40 days for the phase 1, right? Correct?
Yes,
okay. So yes, if we suppose that the exam would be in June, RBI, right, for this year. Now the aspirant is approximately 40 to 45 days in their hands. What shall be the topmost priority for phase 1 topic wise. For example, especially in the general awareness, as you said that general awareness was not the major issue. So let's say aspirants are listening to you and they want to chalk down and highlight, okay, these are the important things that can took me to the phase 2.
So my GA strategy has been very simple, ma'am. The two sources of my exam preparation for GA is one is newspapers and second one is the content from the CGB, both
Okay.
PIB and the newspaper current affairs. For the newspaper current affairs and PIB, I completely relied on CGB's materials.
Okay.
And additionally, I used to refer to two newspapers that I usually have the habit of.
Okay.
So what I used to do is, as my preparation has been continuous since last 3 years, there has been no break that I have to read from this month to this month.
Okay.
There has been a benefit that the integration, the kind of continuity and integration that I had in my preparation that helped me a lot in tackling the bouncers. Coming to the part revision, highlighting the important point, anticipating the kind of questions that could be asked in the examination. For example, if you look at the kind of questions, the GA questions that are being asked in the examination, they are a bit of fact oriented.
Correct.
A bit of fact oriented as well as finance and banking oriented. So what we need to do is, when you are reading a particular topic, when you are reading a particular item of importance, that you need to anticipate what could be the possible question that could come out of that article.
Correct.
Then highlight the most probable point that is important. For example, the growth rates, the factual data, like
Which
that.
we can deduce from previous year
Questions as well. So the anticipation from the GA is more important based on the context, based on what's happening in the country, in the banking landscape as well as in normal landscape. It will help us have a kind of head start in tackling the GA section.
Okay.
And the second thing, ma'am, what I used to do is, I used to highlight the PDFs that are provided in the CGB. I used to revise them multiple times, and then I used to approach the mock tests. Then I revise it again, and then I'll approach the examination.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then CGB also provides the monthly MCQs. If
Yes, ma'am.
someone wants to revise with that particular MCQs, which have the top most MCQs.
Yes,
so did you use those MCQs
Yes, ma'am.
for
the
revision?
revision part, I relied on the MCQs provided by CGBMentors.
So aspirants would want to know also this thing, that how many months of PIB and current affairs generally toppers do. So you can mention that.
So as I mentioned earlier, I had the continuity of preparation, so there is no rigid boundary
I
that.
get it.
So
Because you were reading all those throughout the
continuously.
3 years and you were aware of all those
Yes,
things.
ma'am. So
Okay.
around probably 4 to 6 months of GA just before the examination, for the safe side, it will be good.
And you mentioned the newspapers also, right? The two newspapers, can you name them?
One is Hindu and the another one is Indian Express.
Okay, okay.
These two I used to read regularly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So Hari, you got the highest marks in phase 2, Hannah, and first of all, again, congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
the highest marks in phase 2 of this. So in paper 1, he got 65.5, 36 in descriptive and 29.5 in objective. And in paper 2, that is English, he got 61.5 marks. In paper 3, that is FM, he got 78.75 marks. In descriptive, again, it is 36, and in objective, it is 42.75. So first of all, I was really amazed to read these marks, and especially of this paper 3, he got in total 78.75 marks. And this is such an amazing score to get, because post like greater than 30, it is usually very amazing to see. So let's bifurcate that each and step by step. So how did you score such good marks in objective? What was your strategy for objective? For all this ESI, finance, and yes.
So my approach to the examination has been a kind of different thing compared to the previous my previous attempts, because when it comes to the mains examination, you have to give everything you have. You have to score as much as you can, where you can perform, where your strength lies.
Okay.
So my approach has changed to take the risk.
Okay.
I used to take the risk
Since it is
based on the
one-fold.
availability and my intuition
Okay.
and all, and the accumulated knowledge that I have since last 6 years of preparation.
Correct.
That is one part of the preparation, and the second part is the kind of content that we read. Again, the kind of anticipation that we make from the content. For example, a new scheme has been introduced, and you have to go through A to Z, from the basic to the deep, and including the rules. So you need to be aware of the kind of questions that we could expect.
Okay.
Then also, at the same time, referring to the original source documents for a lot of schemes and the reports that are mentioned in the news.
Okay. So you are saying that firstly you have to think from the examiner point of view.
Exactly.
That what examiner can ask, because he's not going to ask things which are quite general, quite new. He would ask and how the RBI is asking previously. Okay. So what about descriptive, Hari? Since you got decent marks like more than 35 or more than 32, it is considered as a very good marks in descriptive, and in both paper 1 and paper 3 you got 36 marks. So my question is that how did you compile your content? Because it is did you compile your content or did you make mind maps? Or if you have compiled your content, how did you revise in the last minute revision? Because there is a hell lot of content, right, when we go before the examination.
So my approach to the descriptive has been really simple, ma'am, because I had a head start of preparing for the UPSC and writing 2 mains. I had the kind of exposure how a descriptive answer should be written. So my approach to ESI and FM, both descriptive, is jot down the syllabus points, what is important, and I used to write skeletal answers based on the syllabus points.
Okay.
Then I used to value add with the examples, case studies, and the data.
Okay.
The matter that really changed the momentum for me is to, again, the anticipation based on the kind of the happenings that in the economy and all, what could be expected, what could be the possible kind of question that we could expect from a report and all. And then what I used to do is I used to frame the question based on a particular topic. I used to write skeletal answers. I used to revise them regularly. And that goes same with ESI as well as FM. But what I used to do in extra is I used to refer to the original reports, the kind of reports from Niti Aayog, Government of India, IMF and World Bank. And I used to read the executive summary of those reports. I used to highlight the content and quotes and the kind of structuring they'd use, the official language.
Especially the government sayings, like Viksit Bharat.
Exactly. So I used to refer to them. I also used to refer to few of the PIB explainers and backgrounders.
Okay.
That would be flowing and structuring. So I used to integrate them all as a whole. And I used to write skeleton answers and then I used to revise them.
Revise it, and those were soft copies, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So did you make mind maps in the actual examination before attempting it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And what about English descriptive? Any special strategy?
No, nothing special strategy for English, ma'am. I relied on the preparation for ESI and FM. I went on with the English paper. There is no special strategy.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so we know that as phase 1 is all about the breadth. In UPSC also it is more about the breadth, whereas phase 2 is about lesser topics, but it is all about the depth. So for ESI and FM objective, how would you say that these are the highest scoring topics or the subtopics? Like you can mention anything, PIB, schemes, reports, circulars. So if someone is an aspirant is listening to you and he is focusing on phase 2, then what shall be the focus of the person?
For coming to the ESI paper, ma'am, the most important thing would be reports and PIB as well as government schemes. Understanding the importance of these things really play a key role, especially the part of PIB and the government schemes, because in the recently conducted, in the 2025 year, the kind of questions they have asked from PIB is really integrated. You need to have the understanding of about 2 to 3 different concepts. They have asked in such a way that you need to know all 3 concepts, all 3 different concepts in one particular question. So what we need is you need to read them continuously, you need to revise them integratedly, and you need to understand the kind of intent and purpose that they are trying to say to replicate in the actual examination. And second thing is reports. If we don't want to miss out on anything in ESI, we have to refer to almost each and every report, prioritize them. Ashok sir usually provides the top 100 reports, top 10 reports or top 100 reports. What I used to do is I usually go to the particular reports website. I used to download it. I used to read the executive summary, the important numbers, percentages, data, etc., etc. I used to revise them. And when CGBMentors provides the MCQs based on the reports, I used to practice on them just to have like a revision.
Revision session.
And the third thing is schemes. Also for the schemes, there are some flagship schemes that are really important. Also the newly introduced schemes from the budget on economic survey. What I used to do extra is to go to an extra length and download the rules if available, or the facts that are available for that particular scheme, and used to highlight them and revise them regularly.
Okay. And for that matter, Ashok sir provides top 100 of each and everything.
Yes.
Be it reports, be it circulars, be it government schemes, even the top 100 to 200 MCQs, right?
Yes,
were they like helpful before the actual examination?
They were actually helpful because I've been following them for a really long. I find them really accurate. The kind of questions, they hit the point right at the bullseye. So I usually used them, referred them to revise the content that I already studied. So
yeah, you're very correct, Bullseye, because when we read a lot of content, so what happens, our brain frequency just goes here and there in a haphazard manner. But when we revise those top 100, only those 100 questions would fit in our mind that, okay, these are the things which are really important, and only these facts and figures shall be in our mind before we appear in the examination hall, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So my next question is that one major question is about evaluation. As you earlier mentioned that you used to write soft copies before the actual examination. So Hari, I have seen many aspirants who just rely on someone else, maybe the institutions, to check their mocks, right? And see, institutions have their own limitations. They can check 5 to 6 mocks for you, right? So in that scenario, since you have got the highest marks in phase 2, so did you rely on someone for evaluation, or do you think that self-evaluation can be an important part in this journey, right? That how did you self-evaluate your answers for this descriptive part?
There's no direct answer to that particular question, ma'am, but self-evaluation depends on the maturity of the candidate, how he sees, how he writes, at what stage of examination he has, what kind of experience he has in writing those examinations. At the initial stages of preparation for the aspirants was beginning, at the beginner level, it would be better for them to rely on a particular mentor who has an edge in evaluating the descriptive answers. Once they have the kind of understanding that this should be the kind of approach that we should have for the descriptive, then they can shift towards the self-evaluation, like following up with the case studies, adding the examples, reports, quotes, etc., etc.
So after, like, let's say 10 to 15 answers, if it is get checked by the institution, then they have this idea that this shall be the model approach to follow, and then they can do it by their own, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's move to the interview section, Hari. Since this was your first RBI interview, but not the another interviews, you had many interviews previously. What were your feelings before the interview? What was going in your mind?
Only one thing was I have to get into the RBI no matter what. Still, I was really excited that the kind of organization that RBI is and its place in the economy and the country. I was really excited to get into the panel, but what really made the difference is the kind of exposure that I had to the interview panels because of my previous interviews.
Okay.
So that gave me the head start of how to approach the interview, how to handle the stress, how to handle, how to prepare, and what resources to refer to and all. So it played a key role in shaping my interview approach, ma'am.
Okay, so what can I gaze? What I can gaze from this point is that you were pretty confident and calm and composed. Were you?
I wouldn't say composed.
Okay.
Obviously, irrespective of number of interviews you give, the next interview you're going to have the kind of stress usually. But the kind of confidence that comes from the kind of exposure that I had previously.
That helped you.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, correct. So how would you describe your interview panel? Was it neutral, or was it welcoming, or a quite intimidating initially? Like, how did they make you feel like?
The interview panel was cordial. The interview went really good for me. The panel was actually cordial. They were expecting me to give the answers. They are helping me. Everything really went well in that room.
Okay, okay. So were the questions more inclined towards your personal background, or were they more of an academic side? You can mention 2-3 questions if you are able to remember?
For me, my interview is a balanced one, ma'am. Half of the members focused on my DAF, the kind of certifications that I have, my academic exposure, my work at TCS, and my extracurricular activities and all. And another section of the panel has relied on the general functions of the RBI, the kind of economy, based on the economy, based on financial markets. For example, coming to the DAF based questions, most of the questions are from my certifications and around them mostly. And coming to the other part, mostly from the kind of functions where you're interested in, where you're interested to work in.
Okay.
What is it, and what's happening in the economy, yield rates, yield to maturity, financial markets, etc., etc.
So you mentioned certifications, right? So can you tell the audience that what kind of certifications you did, and are they really helpful in getting good marks in interview? Because there is always a question amongst the aspirants that, okay, we really need to get these certifications done, otherwise, you know, maybe there is again fear of this FOMO inside the aspirants.
So doing certifications have both pros and cons, ma'am. But once you put it that in your biodata, you have to be really confident, 150% confident on what you have mentioned in the biodata, because they are going to ask whatever you have mentioned in the biodata.
Correct.
So if you decide to put something on the biodata, you have to prepare A to Z, end to end for that particular certification, no matter what the certification is.
Okay.
But still, I would say certification is not the prerequisite to clear the interview. But I'd say having good certifications that which are very much you are interested in, that will help you to integrate your preparation organically, that there is not something compelling that you have to do this because I put something in the biodata. So whatever if you want to do, it has to be organic. You need to have the kind of interest in that.
Correct.
So that will help you.
Not just for the sake of doing it, just because I'm giving the interview.
Exactly.
And I personally also believe that if you're doing certain certifications, some percentage of interview can be just more molded, because you know they would be asking certain kind of questions regarding your certification, and you can prepare 2-3 questions out of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So, Hari, this is my last question.
Sure.
You mentioned that the journey took the mental toll on you. You mentioned in your this biodata. Now, since you are here, right, if you go back and see yourself, the entire journey of 3 to 4 years, considering the UPSC journey as well, what would be those certain things or actions that you would want to change for you? Maybe one or two, so that you think that this would be more mentally peaceful, or it would be a less pressure for you. Because I really would want to address the situation to our aspirants thing, because generally we have seen that online, especially on social media, be it's YouTube and Instagram, showing the aspirants about that the strategies, this is academy, ye pad lo, wo pad lo, isko chhod do. But we are not dealing with the emotional pressures, the financial pressures, the family and societal pressures which an aspirant is dealing with. So even if you don't want to change anything, it's okay. But what would you suggest to our aspirants in that scenario to deal with this mental health thing?
Usually, in this kind of competitive landscape of competitive examinations and regulatory bodies, the stress is supposed to be there because of the kind of family and societal pressures on unemployed youth. But one thing I suggest is, even though you are, you need to let that emotion out.
Correct.
You don't need to keep it in the heart. You don't need to struggle internally. As I said mentioned earlier, you have to talk about that with your friends, with your family. You have to let that out. You have to vent that out. Then only you will be able to free. Then only you will be able to focus and concentrate on the examination. And at the same time, even I used to struggle a lot mentally. What is going to happen? What if I don't clear this examination?
Correct.
Should I prepare for the next leg of the examination or all? But even though when you let it out, when you vent that kind of pressure out, you will be free, and then you will be able to focus on the examination. And at the same time, in the examination, actually, I'm telling, my strategy has been really simple. Since that I was really worried how the questions would be, how the paper would be, what would be the cutoff, whether I would be able to clear the cutoff or not. But once the timer begins, my focus has been completely on the examination, no matter what.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just examination, just I need to attempt these many questions that I have planned. I have to approach this examination like I have planned, and yes, that's it.
Okay, okay. So I have two things to my audience out of this your answer. One is that you need to let out your energies, your negative energies. You can talk to your family, to your friends, or any kind of let out activity. I always tell to my aspirants that you have to let out these energies because you're consuming a lot internally. That can be in form of your hobbies. You can do any kind of hobby which you like. And secondly thing, as he mentioned, that once the notification is out, you are into the process, right? And you do not have to worry about all the cutoff thing, the vacancies things, and how many competitors are there, how many aspirants are filling the examination. I have seen certain videos, okay, these many people are filling the examinations, these people are appearing it. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to focus on only on one thing, and that is the process of your preparation. Correct. So thank you, Hari Mudra. It was Mudra Hari. It was really a light, good conversation with you, and we are really grateful that we shared this podcast with you. Thank you so much for believing in us, believing in CGB Mentors, and flying away so far for that reason. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. I would like to thank Ashok sir and his team in the CGB Mentors for continuously guiding me since last 3 years. In a sense, this has been very personal and emotional to me because the moment I resigned from TCS, the kind of financial insecurity that I have been into after resignation, I've been continuously running behind all the examinations, all the competitive examinations and all, giving the interviews, failing consecutively in almost all the interviews until RBI. So in this process, the kind of certainty that CGB Mentors has provided me through the content that I could rely on one particular source. I don't have to scramble to each and every other institution and all. It has helped me a lot for my stability and a key source of my success.
So he's trying to say that don't move here and there, just have that one path, and that is CGB Mentors. because when you try to find so many paths, you feel directionless,
Yes,
right? So you followed one path, and that is CGB Mentors.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Thank you so much, Hari. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So aspirants, every selection has a unique story like that we saw of Mudra Hari, and you never know, the next story could be of yours. Till then, keep working on yourself, keep dreaming and keep growing. Keep watching CGB Mentors, Sapno Se Selection Sir. Thank you so much.